Today we're talking about the TechZone Stellar X2 vintage microphone, and we're going to get into it all after this introduction. Alright, so the people over at TechZone Audio were nice enough to send me this microphone here to try out and see what I thought about it, and I'm obviously doing a YouTube review on it here to let you guys know my thoughts. So what I want to do first, I'm going to open up this box that it comes in here, which is actually a nice case that will protect it very nicely. And I will show you what actually comes with this microphone so you can see. So let me open it up here. Alrighty, so it does come with a wind filter here, which this is actually nice for podcasting or if you can do any like YouTube voiceovers and such like this. So you do have this. You do have a shock mount, and it's actually a pretty good shock mount. It's not like super fancy like the one that comes with my Slate microphone, but it is also not like the really cheap ones. If you ever seen them where the actual strings fall out of their casing here and you're constantly have to putting them together. So this is much better. And I believe this actually made of plastic here. So yeah, this will stay a lot better and you're not going to run into that issue. And then this is the actual microphone here. Let me pull it out. So this microphone is actually built really well. And if you notice it here too, it's actually kind of small. So I consider this a medium-sized condenser microphone. And the reason I say that is if we compare it to my Slate microphone here, you can see, it's quite a bit bigger than the Slate one compared to this. So I consider it a medium-sized diaphragm condenser microphone. And we're going to go over pricing and the actual what materials this is made of and what's in it a little bit later in the video. But right now I kind of wanted to show you what came in the box and just kind of give you a little first look at the microphone here, because you may have not heard about these TechZone audio products before. I'll be honest, I never heard of them before until they actually sent me one. And I'm actually pleasantly impressed with them. So in this video, what I did was I'm actually using this microphone when we get into the screen recording portion of this video. I'm actually using it to do the voiceover. So you're going to get to hear it from a podcasting scenario. And then I actually did a vocal performance with it and an acoustic guitar performance with it. So you're going to get to hear it under those three different scenarios. And hopefully that will help you decide if this is a microphone that you want to add to your collection or not. So again, this is the Stellar X2 vintage microphone. And let's actually get into my computer now and let's look at some of the specs of this microphone. We'll talk about pricing, what it's made of, and then I will let you hear the samples. So let's get into it.
All right, so here we are on my computer here, and we are on the TZ Audio Products website here, looking at the Stellar X2 Vintage large capsule condenser microphone. So as mentioned earlier, it says it's large capsule, and yes, that's true, but overall I would consider this a medium-sized diaphragm condenser microphone because it is much smaller, as you saw earlier, compared to the Slate microphone. So you're actually hearing the microphone right now. I'm using it with its wind filter on it, and I'm using it obviously in a podcast scenario as I'm doing a voiceover now. There is some minimal processing I'm using, and that's just some EQ and compression, stuff that I would normally use when I'm doing a voiceover. And the particular software I use to do my voiceover is video editing software, so sometimes I do get some artifacts in my voiceovers, so just kind of disregard that if you hear anything that sounds maybe a little bit digital. So, what I want to discuss before we get into listening to some recordings of singing and acoustic guitar are some of the features that this microphone has. So starting with price, this microphone is $269.99, which is ballpark for a microphone like this that isn't necessarily a name brand. And that's really a good price for what this microphone can do. Because again, this is going to cover all of your vocal performances for female or male. It sounds great on both. Acoustic guitar. And really, I mean, those are the main things. And then I guess anything else you can put it on that's going to be more of a overall pickup, I would say. So if you want to record something like a cello, something within a room, it would be great for. Now, I would not recommend using it on drums. You could probably use it on drums as a overhead, but there are better mics for that, so I would not recommend that. Okay, so those are the use case scenarios I would use it for: vocals and acoustic guitar. Those are the best, and then anything that you want to capture within a space within the room, I think this is good for. Okay, so let's move down to some of the features of this microphone. Okay, so let's talk about the capsule first. So it uses a K47 style capsule. And the reason they use this capsule is because this is a vintage style microphone and this is a vintage style capsule. When you think of vintage, when you think of old recordings, you think of stuff that is lacking in the real highs and also lacking in the lows. So it's kind of all mid-range. So don't get me wrong, this microphone's not going to sound like a telephone. That's not what it does, but it is going to be focused more on those upper mids, okay? And that's actually great for getting vocals to cut through a mix, and even acoustic guitar, just really getting it to maybe brighten up a little bit, hearing some more of those strings, okay? So that's why it sounds so great on those two particular instruments, all right? And here's a little bit more information here if you want to read it on their website about why this capsule is considered to be high quality and how it's made, all right? So let's actually scroll down to the circuitry here. So they are using their own custom transformerless JFET circuits. And one thing I will say that I actually cranked the input on my audio interface for this microphone, and I will say it's not picking up a lot of the room. It has a really good signal to noise ratio. So when I am singing, it is really covering up the noise in the room. And I really like that about this microphone. And I think the fact that it is a more of a medium-sized diaphragm condenser microphone also helps with that, okay? So let's just scroll down to the high quality construction section here, which I will say this thing is actually built pretty well. And it does say that the frame of this microphone is actually built with iron, so it's pretty much scratch resistant. So that's fantastic. I have cats, so they tend to get in stuff they shouldn't get into, and they do destroy some stuff in my studio, but I don't know if they would actually go after the microphone, but it's good to know if they decided to scratch this microphone with their claws that I would not know, because it likely would not show up. So that's one good thing about it. All right, so let's scroll down to the frequency response and polar pattern. So this is kind of what I wanted to mention here. So obviously you're gonna have a roll off on the low end here a little bit. This is actually less than I thought, okay? Being a vintage microphone, this is nothing. This doesn't even matter. So this is perfectly fine. But if we go up to here, so you got this bump that starts about 1.5, and it probably peaks about, that's about 4K right there, yeah. So 4K, and then we start rolling off here after 4K. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much your mid-range boost right there. So that's giving you your vintage tone. That's giving you what's gonna help your voice cut through the mix right there, okay? And obviously this is a cardioid microphone, so it's got the butt polar pattern right there. So that's a little picture of it right there. So that is pretty much the features and a lot of the details and information about this microphone. So you're hearing me talking it right now in a voiceover / podcast scenario. So let's actually give it a listen, and we're going to start with listening to an acoustic guitar performance. We're going to hear it first without any processing on it. This is just me recording it, and then I'm going to let you hear what I did with some actual processing on it, so you can hear like an end result and see what you can get with this microphone after you mix what you recorded with it. Okay, so let's give it a listen. right, cool. So when I make up an acoustic guitar, I really want to get a good blend between the top and bottom strings. So, essentially treble and bass. And I thought that this mic and the placement I used did a really good job of that. And this particular guitar always tends to be a little bit high on the lows. So I always anticipate that, and I always anticipate having to EQ some of the lows out. So that's just normal for this guitar. So I thought it sounded really nice and warm by itself without any processing. Of course, it needed some processing to take it to the next level. And when we added that processing in, I actually thought it sounded really good. And, this is me mixing this pretty quickly. I might make further tweaks if I was to make this a finalized song, but, I think overall what I was able to achieve here in this short amount of time, I think sounds really good. And I think that this mic, like I said, did a really good job of recording this acoustic guitar. So let's actually move on now and listen to what this mic sounds like with some singing. And we'll listen to me sing. So hopefully I don't hurt your ears too bad here. So let's give it a listen. Fear can blur the lines up till we don't see the signs. Lay down your weapons, 'cause this is a fight nobody wins. Absolution will always lose. Never make somebody choose. War is a mirage, so take off your camouflage, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Fear can blur the lines up till we don't see the signs. Lay down your weapons, 'cause this is a fight nobody wins. Absolution will always lose. Never make somebody choose. War is a mirage, so take off your camouflage, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. All right, cool. So I thought this mic did a really nice job of picking up the vocals. I was probably about, we'll say about 6 inches away from the mic when recording. And I do sing a little bit off axis. I don't like to sing directly into the microphone, so just a little bit off axis. So that's kind of what that performance looked like visually. And I have to say that we definitely have a nice warm feeling to it, but also with a little bit of presence making it come through. And that's what I'm talking about, some of the mid-range poking through there. Now, I have a natural low mid voice, and that's why you hear a lot of that in there, and that's why it sounds extra warm. So it's obviously going to sound different per vocalist. But for me, this is actually a great microphone for my voice, and yeah, I think it sounds good, and I think after applying the processing, I think it sounds even better. So why don't we actually listen to the processed acoustic guitar and the processed vocal together and hear what it sounds like. Let's give it a listen. Fear can blur the lines up till we don't see the signs. Lay down your weapons, 'cause this is a fight nobody wins. Absolution will always lose. Never make somebody choose. War is a mirage, so take off your camouflage, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. All All right, so there you go. That is the final product there. Not bad for something that I threw together in a couple hours. And like I said, I think this mic does a really great job on vocals and acoustic guitar. And again, anything that you would want to pick up in a space within a room, okay? So if you like what you heard and you're interested in this microphone, I have a link in the description below where you can go purchase it. And if you guys ended up liking this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe because I'll be making this content for you, and hit that notification bell to know when I have new videos coming out. So with that being said, until the next video, I will see you guys later, and peace out.